over 100 because they don't have a 10-year risk or a 5-year risk. Though most guidelines these days do put an independent factor that you should treat the blood pressure if it's over 160 or 180, depending on the guidelines. But there's no objective evidence related to the younger people that does improve the outcome. I believe it will, but the objectivity is not necessarily there.
Thank you for that. Professor Trevor, so in terms of adherence, so of course these blood pressure treatment strategies on the long run will have some economic impact, but if government agencies do not focus on the acute kind of alleviation of hypertension and invest in the long term, what do you think would be the impact of the adherence problem that we see in patients?
Given the problem of doing it.
Of taking the medication. Yeah.
Well, my belief is the most important thing is to prevent it, so you don't need to take the medication. And my belief is that can be done if we could implement it by reducing sodium, increasing potassium, increasing activity, avoiding obesity. Having said that, it's extremely difficult to do that activity. Taking medication long term is a difficulty because you've got to persuade the patient that it's actually important. And these are people who are fit and well. That's telling me my talk's just finished. These are people who are fit and well and see little reason why they should take medication when they don't have what they see as any problem. So it's difficult and it's partly a matter of education, but it also amounts to, it should be an individual choice, but the problem is that the individual on diet wants to make a choice, he's unable to do so because he can't get the foods at a reasonable cost. So it is a difficult problem.
Any further questions from the floor?
Thank you, Professor Morgan. A very interesting talk. The thing is that sodium actually, I attended the talk by Prof. McGregor before. He said sodium, like 5,000 years ago, people was not eating sodium, they were just eating raw meat and all that. So the concept of sodium actually came as a flavoring agent and all that. But when we look back at the cost, actually sodium in Malaysia, salt is actually sold in a packet, 30 cents. 30 cents one packet, 1 kilo. And then, potassium comes in the form of fruits, vegetables, nuts and all that is expensive. So how can, in terms of cost and all that, how can actually we reduce try to actually promote the use of potassium instead of sodium?
Well, I think the best information on this and the implication has really come in recent times from Graham McGregor in the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom does have a universal policy of reducing sodium content in food. They have not objectively put it forward, but they also believe potassium should be increased, though that is one aspect. When I've spoken on this, I have slight disagreement with them, but I think increasing potassium is just as important as decreasing sodium. Now the problem is, when food is, first of all, sodium was added to food, types of food, for preservation at one stage. With refrigeration, etc., that is no longer needed. The good example of this occurred in Japan, where they had an unbelievable epidemic of high sodium intake, 20 grams or more per day. They reduced it and changed their stroke rate dramatically, going back to the 1950s and 60s. And probably one of the important things in that was a public education program, but more important, refrigeration became available, so you no longer need to put sodium meat to preserve it. Now, the problem is, in the Western world, when food of any nature is processed, it